Hey, what's up, everybody? It's episode number 220 of the Audible Farm podcast, and this episode is brought to you by the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association. Go to fdfineartsassociation.org and find out everything you need to know about the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association. There's a calendar there. Check out the About section. There's members. There's basically just supporting art, but it's every kind of art all around Fort Dodge and, maybe a little bit here and there elsewhere. But yeah, they do a great job of helping coordinate everything as well. It's just kind of a neat little project thing that is grown into a ridiculously useful tool for a community. So check it out, fdfineartsassociation.org. I got a link down below, so check them out. Also, speaking of fdfineartsassociation.org, tune into the outro. I'll talk about it a little bit more. They got a little special project, and it's going to be a neat one. It's going to be neat, so check it out. It's in the outro. This episode, I'm sitting down with Scott Kirkhart. Scott Kirkhart is probably the guy that might have brought the podcast back. I don't know. He started the hashtag Bring Back Audible Farm and would post it all the time. It was hilarious. He's a funny guy. He's a very talented singer-songwriter. If you haven't listened to the other podcasts I did with him, I did probably like 5 other podcasts with him, perhaps. So definitely check that out. It's going to be pretty cool. So Scott has the Broken Strings. I'm actually wearing the hat for it. Broken Strings Foundation. And they're trying to give a guitar to a child in every school district in Iowa, which is like a crazy feat. I've talked to them a lot about it. They had a fundraiser recently for it. If you missed it, make sure you go to the description section and check out all the links for Broken Strings. But anyways, we'll get into it in the podcast. It's coming up. Cue the music.
It's the Audible Farm Podcast with your host, Peter Stockdale.
Let's just start. All right.
Action.
Yeah, action. Here we go. Go. All right. Hey, we're sitting down doing the Audible Farm podcast, I guess.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody.
Yes.
You can thank this guy. Basically, the whole reason this is happening. Scott, like for a while, we were talking about it before, and now we're recording it because we should have been recording the whole time. And that's how you're supposed to do podcasts: is record everything and then edit from there.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Anyways, I'm new to this, guys.
Hashtag Bring Back Audible Farm.
There it is. That's the one. So Scott posted that online. He would just like say it out loud. Hashtag Bring Back Audible Farm, and then you would just start posting it randomly. Like, I have an event coming up at this place at this time. Come see it. Like, hashtag Go Hawkeyes, hashtag Bring Back Audible Farm. And it was like nothing to do with Audible Farm at all in the post.
Nope, that's all right.
Yeah, it was great. And you're like, I'm going to get this trending. And it's like, I honestly think like at the rate, like I would just post stuff. Like, I'm playing a show here this weekend, something. And people like wouldn't even be like, that's cool. They would just be like, hashtag Bring Back Audible Farm in the comments. Like, they don't.
Right.
It's like, cool. Oh, you're playing music? Whatever.
Next thing you know, you got 20 hashtag Bring Back Audible Farms. And you're getting traction from like Mike Schulte.
Yeah.
And, I mean, all those guys.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
It's so crazy. That's definitely another thing. Like, he has bothered me about this just about as much as you have. I wouldn't say bothered, but he'll like every now and then just be like, hey, that's cool. When are you bringing back your podcast? And it's like,
It was something that I look forward to weekly.
Oh, I can understand it.
You know, it was like my favorite TV show just went off the air after 13 years is what it felt like.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know. We don't really need to get in too much. I was thinking about doing a first episode by myself to welcome everyone back, but we'll see what happens. But this is actually the first time we're recording anything for this. I have not.
I'm the first guest.
Dude, I planned my exit the same way I planned my entrance. I did not. I just woke up one day and was like, I'm done doing this.
Yeah.
I don't know why. At the end, I will say at the end, it got a little tough to do because it was tough to find new people and find things that were engaging. But I feel like I just ran out of people to talk to or ran out of
I want to help you with that though.
Yeah.
Right? We'll help you.
Yeah. And so and that's the other thing is there were a lot of people I wanted to talk to that didn't want to talk that now I'm going to be like, hey, last chance. Like you have now, you have to. Like you're gonna have people beating you up over this. And You're gonna have to do it. You know.
Yep.
You know, there's a few people that I've like already sent messages to, like, hey, this is a thing that's going to happen, and I need y'all on board. I need somebody to like sit there and be like, yes, I'm going to do this with you now. And
I'm sure glad that you're back to doing it.
Well, that's like the whole reason I came. You know, it was just like I'm going to interview you first because like. I mean, you were episode, 100. You were like 198. I posted a few of those today
I did.
on Facebook.
After I said bring back Audible Farm?
Yeah, hashtag bring back Audible Farm. I just started like, everybody that commented on the post I made about how like, we're recording technically on the anniversary. We're recording this on the anniversary of the day that episode 1 was released.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
That is pretty neat.
Yeah, that's very cool.
I don't know. You were the first person I did a video podcast with.
Yep.
I mean, it was the first of a lot of different things. So, yeah, I appreciate it, man. Like I said, when I went today, I looked up the hashtag Bring Back Audible Farm, the one with the most traction. It had like top post, and it was like just a post you made about an event, and it had nothing to do with Audible Farm. You just like slammed it in there, and that's what we were talking about beforehand. I was like, I gotta tell you this because it's funny.
I did that quite a few times actually. And it was kind of like whether I was in an event, and it had nothing to do with it. It was just in my side hashtags.
Yeah.
So I kept clicking on it.
Oh, I love it. So yeah, use the hashtag Bring Back Audible Farm. Let everybody know it's back in some capacity or another. This is going to stick around because I don't know. This isn't the podcast to do it on.
Missed it.
I need to do a solo episode to talk about this, but we'll see.
That's all right.
Yeah,
you can do a quick little solo episode about it.
No, man, this is like Scott Kirkhart therapy.
Maybe
episode.
I should interview you.
What kind of questions do you have?
I don't really know. I'd have to figure that out.
Yeah, we hang out enough, anyways.
Yeah, we do. How you been doing?
I'm all right. I will say this, like. We can just get a lot of things out of the way, like Barnum Jam's not a thing anymore.
No, it's sad.
That was something that was like, I did 200 plus episodes. That's 4 years of talking about the Barnum Jam, basically.
Right.
That was like a cornerstone of what I was doing, It
was, and I miss those too.
Yeah.
Barnum Jam, because that was the one night of the week that we weren't really busy, but we could go and hang out with our friends for the night, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. And that was. Again, that was a thing where it's like enough time now has passed where things have changed, where like people that are going to be listening to this from out of state that might be like, oh, I remember you guys talking about that. Yep. Like, well, that's not a thing anymore. Sorry.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, what happened? Well, tune into the Clint Riedel episode that's coming up to talk about that, I guess,
Sure.
because he was the one who ran the Barnum Jams, and everybody still loves Clint, and nothing, it's nothing that happened, but you gotta have to tune into that Clint Riedel episode to figure. No, I'm just kidding, but I'm not going to tell you what happened. But that's where we're going to talk about it because I do have a lot of people scheduled to do episodes, and that's like another thing with this is like I gotta stay more on top of it. I was so busy back then that I just couldn't stay on top of this.
Oh, you were going through school.
Yeah.
Right? Finishing up school, you were trying to play music.
Yeah.
You were trying to do this Audible Farm podcast. And, it takes a lot of time. If there's anybody that knows anything about takes up a lot of time, I understand.
Yeah. If you took the absolute bare minimum of how much time it takes to put out a podcast, if you had zero editing, it'd be like a couple hours. Yeah. Because you got to record it and then do the editing and the uploading and stuff. But like, man, if you want to sit down and do it justice, it's going to take you 3 or 4 hours to do it.
Do you feel like over the last 3 years or 2 years of not doing it or whatever, how long has it been? Do you know?
I do not know exactly. 1.5 years, almost 2.
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2.
Okay. So in the almost 2 years of not doing it, how much have you learned from not doing it that, oh, well, man, if I did it again, I would do it this way and this way and this way? Or...
Well, for what I was getting out of it, I wasn't enjoying it as much. And I felt like I could, like you said, I was doing work, school, playing in 3 bands, playing like 80 shows a year, doing jam nights once a week. So that's 130 nights a year. I'm busy. Plus, I got to somehow coordinate who I'm going to get on there when. It ate up like literally what little bit of free time I had. Right. So what happened in the last 2 years, I enjoyed having free time. I'll tell you that.
Well, you've been playing a lot of music. There's no doubt about that.
I haven't slowed down at all. Like I'm not going to school anymore, so some of that freed up. Graduated school, woo woo, whatever. But like, yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know. It's just been a time to reflect, and again, like this turned into something as weird as it sounds. Like I parlayed all of my hobbies into jobs somehow in my life. I'm like the luckiest man alive in a lot of capacities.
Well, hey man, me too, dude.
I don't know how I did it, but I've also like, I had to trudge through some stuff to get there. It's not like, but everyone had to do work, and that's just another thing where like I couldn't put out an episode where I had dogged the people that cared about the podcast, because like I cared about it. If anybody listens to the last episode, like I'm literally like within this close to like letting tears go.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
I
you
was
can
just
hear
like,
it in your voice.
Dude, I was just like, this is the saddest thing ever, but it was just one day I woke up and I just couldn't do it anymore. And
it was probably a relief for a little while too.
Oh yeah, it was great,
But I want you to know that, and I'm speaking, I'm sure, for the rest of the people of the community, Audible Farm community that listen to it, like we truly enjoyed each and every interview, that you did, and listened to newer people and what they were doing. And we look forward to it. Man, like I said, I felt like I was listening to the last episode or watching the last episode of Cheers.
Oh man,
that's kind of what it felt like.
Cheers,
and I was
that was a big deal.
And at the end of it, I was like, oh, now what am I going to listen to?
Yeah,
and I've yet to find another podcast that I listen to regularly, like I did Audible Farm Podcast.
Well, that was another part of it. Was like there was. Again, you get on the internet so long, you put your heart and soul out there. Sometimes there's retractors, and like I think having, like, my job now is literally in social media is basically what it is. Like I'm on it all day long, dinking with stuff.
Yeah, you are.
And that was also the greatest thing about leaving the podcast was like I didn't have to get on social media like ever. And social media is a rough one. There's like I know a lot of people who do very well on social media that spend zero time on it because they just do not enjoy it. And that's kind of where I'm at in my life. Like, I just want to, like, not interact with it. But I do a lot. And it kind of, you learn to put up a thick skin because it's like,
you have to.
I put out this thing and it has 4,000 views. And it's like, that's pretty decent, But it's like, why does it have 20% thumbs down, though? And it's like, well, that's just because people are just like, boring.
Yeah, that's disheartening, too, though.
Yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't care, Like, I don't know. I learned to not care as much about people that are, trying to take away from something that you're creating, because like, I don't know, we're creators. We're people that have always created stuff, and there's always somebody that's going to be like, I don't like this. You're not doing it right. This isn't any good, whatever, and I mean, I don't know. I
think that's what arts are, as they're all creators. Whether you're an artist, a painter, you're creating something. Musician, same way. Podcasters, social media, you're creating something.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like being on social media either, but
I don't know if anybody actually
my
does.
Job
requires
that's a huge part of my job.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 80% of my job.
And that's true. But I think that's the other part of it is like, some of it is it's tough to generate dollars off of like, oh, I got this many thumbs up. And it's like, well, that doesn't mean money in your pocket necessarily, but it does mean something to somebody somewhere. So you kind of always have to take care of it. But it's, I don't know. Again, we could point to somebody like good at it, like Mike Schulte. He's another person that's, he's creating content. How much time does he spend online dinking around? Like almost zero. Like last time I talked to him, that's what he said. It's like he just didn't like spending time online anymore. And there's, but I get it though too. I mean, I feel like Twitter used to be the place where a lot of negativity was bred, and now it's kind of like a useless social media, kind of to an extent. It's not. I don't know. It's not useless, but it's not. It
isn't like what TikTok or something like that does. I mean, I think they all have their own tools. Where it's like if you just want to post pictures, go to Instagram. Yeah. But if you want to like socially commentate things, you go to Twitter. Yeah. And they're really big on Facebook here in the Midwest. Mm-hmm. But everywhere else is not. It's all Instagram.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. And that's the other thing is like relearning how to like run social media and things like that. It's like I'm good at this. Like the thing I'm okay at. I could like have a list, like a portfolio of like, I've done this to YouTube channels. Like we need to beef these up, you know, and there's a lot of things I feel like a lot of people need to take care of in their endeavors. But at the same time, like the cost that it takes to do that it's steep, because you're either going to spend your time learning how to do it and doing it yourself, or like paying somebody to do it, and paying somebody to do it's not, you know, it's not an easy feat. It costs money to get stuff done.
Right.
And
right.
it's unfortunate, but it's like, you know, and that's the other thing is like, I didn't find a way to generate my podcast into dollars in my pocket in a sense where it would pay for it to make it worth my while, you know? And that was like a foul on my part, you know, unfortunately.
But now you know what you're doing, right?
I mean, I guess, I don't know. I'm going to put it out. We'll see what happens. I don't know.
So you're definitely in it. You're ready to go.
I mean, we're doing it, I guess. I don't know. How long have we recorded? What time are we at?
I have no idea.
We're just burning through time.
Yep,
You're talking.
that's fine.
Because that's all this podcast ever really is. If you're watching, cool.
Hi.
Hey, I still don't know if I'm going to do videos on Patreon again or whatever. That's been going for the last 2 years unattended.
Really?
I didn't even close the account or anything, so I have no clue what's going on there. So I probably have to go through and give people 2 years worth of refunds, I'm assuming. Because
I don't know what's going on. I mean, they watched the episode.
I don't know what's going on. I guess like it's the premium content they've been paying for, you know. It's not like Netflix is giving people refunds for...
No, definitely not Netflix.
You know, they're not giving people refunds if you don't log in and watch anything.
No.
I don't know. Whatever.
You're fine.
Yeah, I just like look at a lot of that stuff. Like the shop, I just abandoned that.
Hashtag bring back Audible Farm.
I need to change a lot of things about what I'm doing. But that's the other thing is like I'm only going to put as much work into this as I want to now. This is not going to be something that's going to overtake my personality in any capacity. Not that I did before, but like beforehand, I just took it on so personally and stressfully. I was just like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, you know. And it'd be
but it's who Peter Stockdale is.
Oh, that was another thing.
Part of it.
Like, well, I don't know that people knew me from that, you know, and people still like. I played a show with Jeremy Ober this summer, and he's just like, you know, this guy is Peter Stockdale, and someone's like, you're the guy who did that podcast for a while.
Yeah,
and it's just like. Oh, man, I've never even met this guy. Like a year and a half later, he's like, oh, I know you.
How cool is that?
But that's how Jefferson Fossbender, like, met me. He, like, I was talking to somebody, and he had his back to, he was, like, sitting at a bar. Like, I think he was at Shiny Top in Fort Dodge. But, like, I was talking to somebody behind him, basically. And he just, like, spins around in his chair, and he's like, you're the guy who does that podcast. And it was like right when he'd moved back to town. And that, like, he knew me. And
he
like,
listened to it.
Yeah, and he like lived in Chicago listening to it, which is like
cool,
also
though.
wild. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So I don't know.
I'm glad you're back.
Like it's a weird thing though too to like create something and just walk away from it. It's not something that like I didn't announce that it was happening. It just happened and I just left. And I do kind of feel bad to like people that were just kind of like left hanging, but I did give everybody one last episode. So I guess that was that.
You did.
And I'm still going to leave it up. I was thinking about taking it down and replacing it, and I was like, nah, I'm just going to leave it. Like it's part of the canon.
I felt like I was watching, like, you know,
Old Yeller.
One of those fantastic, and all of a sudden you're like, are they going to come out with a sequel?
Yeah, didn't Old Yeller have rabies, though?
I have no idea.
I think that's what it was.
Is that what he died
they had to, like, put him down or something.
Poor guy.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good analogy, then. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I'm glad you're back.
Yeah, it's a great thing.
It is a great thing.
Yeah, I mean, for those that don't know, I do, like, host other podcasts.
Yeah, you do. I mean, you weren't completely out of the game.
No, and that's the other thing is this year I did host another podcast, and I still do host another podcast, and I will continue to host it. And if you're wondering what it is, it's called the Spin Market Report.
Yep.
Look it up, available wherever you listen to podcasts. It's out there. It's a very good podcast. I interview businessmen and women, not just around the Fort Dodge area, but around the state. And I talk to them about marketing and what they do and why they're doing it and why it's so cool, honestly, because it's really wild to sit and let me see what kind of my battery's dying. That's really cool. But everything's just going smooth. I didn't bring headphones, but luckily I had earbuds.
That's all right.
But yeah, this first run, I literally just brought my old podcast bag with and was like, oh, everything should be in
Did
here.
you have to blow the dust off?
Pretty much. Oh man, it was rough. I actually brought this with to do a run. I did a podcast for the Spin Market Report, like using my portable kit. and I interviewed people at a golf outing, like a business golf outing for the Greater Fort Dodge Growth Alliance. And that was pretty cool, though, because I was like, oh, this feels like old school podcasting, you know? But
and it was kind of fun again.
Yeah, it was, you know, and that's the thing is, like, I guess I don't know if I'm having fun doing podcasts again, but
I think we just have to change it up once in a while. You know, playing music.
Yeah, I was thinking,
all the time too gets pretty monotonous, but you know, then you go to like jam nights and stuff like that once in a while, and you're like, holy cow, yep, this is why I'm doing it, you know. And
yeah, and some of that is also just perspective, you know, where it's like,
could be.
You know, and I'm not throwing any shade at anyone, but if you only ever played in Fort Dodge, eventually you'd get tired of the places in Fort Dodge, even though there's like 9 places that you can readily play music at in Fort Dodge. You know, it's like you'd get tired of it after a while. And so like that's where, you know, going to another town and playing comes in handy, where you're just like, oh, this is neat here, you know, and it's just because it's different.
It is.
And I think that's the perspective, you know.
The crowd, you got to win them over. You've already won a lot of people over in the Fort Dodge, you know. I mean, when you play there all the time.
That's true, yeah.
That's our home, right? So that's why I like going out and then saying, hey, coming back. Man, it feels good to be home.
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing, you can maybe have people travel to see you, which is like wild, but happens. Like I play with Jesse still, like wearing the hat. But boom.
That's a nice hat.
That is a nice hat. Jesse Wilson hat. Look at that right there. Boom. But yeah, you know, I play shows with him, and that's another thing where it's like we'll go play shows in like Okoboji or whatever, you know, at Captain's, which by the way was awesome, and we'll play a show there. What's up, Rob? And like there's people that are, it's like, you drove 2 hours to come see Jesse play up in Okoboji. It's like, yeah. It's like, why not? It's like, well, because it's fun, because I get out of town and I get to see Jesse play, and it's like, oh yeah. I mean that's also, you know, like another reason you do that, because
you're in Boji. Hello.
Yeah, exactly. You get out of town. It's a little mini vacation.
They do too.
And there's a lot of people that do that stuff. Like I played a show with Jesse in Clear Lake, and we skipped across the pavilion and down the street about a block and a half and watched you play for a while, you know. And that's just another thing. It's just fun to go out and see people like play music still. It's not like I had lost my passion for music, and I don't know if I lost my passion for podcasting, but I just like needed free time. And I think that's like what a lot of it was. And that's another like concern I have, is like, am I eventually going to run out of like gas doing this again? But it's like, we'll see. I don't know. Like I started this the same way I ended it. No plans. I just like didn't plan to end it. I just did. And I didn't really plan to start it, but I did.
Well, maybe you'll have a team of podcasters and it's all just under one big Audible farm, and you could just run it all.
Well, I honestly had thought about that too, where it's just like, this is how you run this device, record this stuff, put it in this drive file, and I'll edit it all down and put it on YouTube, and we'll have, like, turn it into a magazine. Like, that was like another thing. I wanted to make like a, you know, some grandiose type channel out of it where like other people could contribute to it in some capacity. But I always tried like starting things up, and it just never quite caught on, you know. And I did the Facebook groups, and those were, you know, that was like a fun one too, because like that one, if you shared your events in there, it would make a calendar, and I had like a really extensive like music calendar around the state that was there, and I just didn't have the time to do all the stuff I wanted to do, and it was like really unfortunate. But it's also like I felt guilty asking people to like contribute your time for this and like take no credit for it, I guess. Like, I don't know, you know, like
there's still people that post on your Audible farm in
the group, yeah. Like sometimes they do. I honestly, like, I never really monitored that. Every now and then I'd get in and just be like, all right, I gotta delete these bots and get rid of these people, because it's just peppered in there. It's like, no, we don't want these shoes. No, I don't want your whatever, you know.
Well, hey, like I said, we're so glad you're back. Hashtag bring back Audible Farm.
Yeah.
My good Lord, let me tell you.
Yeah, use it up, man. It's still a podcast. I mean, the podcast is still here. That hashtag, you can keep using it if you want to, or like, I don't know, because why not? But
for a while anyway, and then we'll start with something else.
All right, so let's change gears here a little bit, because that's enough like introspection time. But I interviewed you recently for the other podcast I do, Spin Market Report. Go check it out. But you know, that was like a pretty professional podcast that we sit down and we talk about people and like their marketing and like what they do. And I talked to you about like your marketing, and that was like another thing that I feel like we expounded on, like, you know, quite a bit in the podcast. It was one of the things I still think you do fairly better than most other musicians. Like, and I don't know exactly how to describe it, because it's not like you have like this, like, you know, it's not like you have an extensive team of people helping you do all this crazy stuff. It's just like you just have a way of being good with people and a crowd and being social. And I feel like that's so huge in music.
It is.
So that brings me to a question I want to ask you, because I mean, like, if you guys don't know Scott, if you're tuning in for the first time, whatever, I did 5 episodes with you, and then maybe another one with Salty View, which you sat in. So I've done like 6 episodes with you.
Really?
So like,
Good Lord.
go check them out.
I just like to talk.
But the question that somebody I'd seen posed online, and I had kind of left my comment on there, and it wasn't negatively or positively received. It was just kind of like passed by a little bit because people didn't want to say anything. But it was like, is the music scene dead in Des Moines? And it was like a kind of a rough question because it brought up a lot of the fact where it's like there's not a lot of respect in the music community given back and forth between bands, where it feels more like a competition than it does anything else. Do you like, I know you don't spend as much time like in other cities interacting with their like music communities as like say I do, because I still play in like multiple bands, but
Sure.
like, but it's still the way, like, do you see that, or do you like, what are your thoughts on that? I guess like it's hard to describe if you're not involved in it, because it's not malicious, I don't think.
The stigma of it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's
like, I don't know about the rock scene so much.
Yeah.
By any means, because I'm the country guy, I suppose, what you would call myself. It is not that way in the countryside. And maybe, I not that I've noticed. Like, I've made a lot of friends from Des Moines area playing down there, and a lot of friends from Okoboji and from Minnesota. And with the growth of, like, the Midwest CMO and, and organizations like that, or the Iowa Music Awards group, and those kind of places, I've noticed the networking has really got pretty close. Like, I'm pretty close friends with Jordan Beam and Cody Hicks and and those guys down there, and I'm pretty close with like I'm working with Greg Huberty, and he's in St. Cloud, Minnesota and stuff like that. He's a producer, and he's part of the Midwest CMO. And man, what cool, interesting people these people are that I've met over the last 2 years. Of just doing it, and that's what I'm doing. I'm just doing it full time.
Yep.
And it's kind of like the networking, and even going down to Nashville and meeting, like Chili Dog and guys like that, Jeremy Shepard and guys like those. Jesse's friend was on The Voice.
Yep.
And that was just some random meetup in Nashville, Tennessee, and now they're friends. They play the writers round. Yeah. And I've seen more and more and more of that. And it's one of the coolest, like, you know what? Maybe in the 70s and 80s there was some stuff like that. Maybe in the 90s there was some heat with, the bigger bands. They hated each other or something like that. But for the most part, I want to see my friends succeed. And when my friends succeed,
like, by proxy, so are you.
We all succeed, right? I mean,
yeah, and I don't know, and I don't want to like point any fingers at like what's going on, but like there's been one big band that's come out of Iowa. We all know who it is.
Slipknot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's not like they did anything bad for any music scenes, but I feel like the Des Moines music scene hasn't evolved well since that.
Right.
I don't know exactly what it is. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. I'm not involved in it. I don't live down there, but I do spend enough time down there where it's like there's very small pockets of like resurgences of like lots of people coming out to these shows because they enjoy each other's company, but then it just kind of slowly dissipates away. And I don't know what's caused it or what kind of dries it up and accordions it the way it does. I don't know if that's ever really happened here in Fort Dodge, but in like the last 7 to 10 years that I've been doing this, it really hasn't.
Well,
I guess let's call it 6 years in Fort Dodge. I've been playing music, and probably like 10 in Des Moines.
I think Fort Dodge, we're all pretty tight. I mean, for the most part.
Yeah, maybe it's because it's a small town and everyone plays a lot of country, and the few people that don't are still well received by everybody in the community.
Oh,
yeah. Maybe it's the fact that when you go out and play a show, and it doesn't matter if it's at Sneakers or Sports Page or Shiny Top or wherever it is. It does not matter where the place is, like, not wall-to-wall packed, but sometimes it's wall-to-wall packed with just random people that know there's a musician out there that they enjoy listening to.
And they do.
And they will just sit there and eat food and listen to you play music.
Be a nice person in general. I mean, yeah, okay. So you're more talented than this guy is, or you're more talented. She's more talented than she is.
Yeah.
Or I don't really care. Really, just be nice,
dude.
I mean, it's kind of like I want to. You know what? I want to see all my friends, and I'm watching it in my own. I'm the older guy. I'm 48 years old, right? I mean, I'm not the oldest musician out here by any means, but I'm one of the older crowd, and I love watching bands like Love Bomb.
Oh yeah, so fun.
And people our age or us musicians are cheering those young kids on.
Oh, yeah.
Because imagine what they're going to be when they're in 10, 15 more years if they keep going, right? I mean,
I think a lot of it's also perspective. We know what it's like to have been there.
We've been there. But I also had people like Gene Walker and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I
take you under their wing. And it's
absolutely they did. Tracy Ernst, you know, and I mean, absolutely they did. And I think that we need that to continue. And I guess if I'm a spark, then maybe somebody else is going to be nice and say, hey, man, you know, this isn't Kirkhart's right. Let's do this. You know? Let's just be nice to each other. And I want look at Tank Anthony, man. He's blowing it up right now. Corey Waller and the Wicked Things.
Amazing.
Incredible. That's
band.
Crazy
good.
And
every one of them.
Look at Brutal Republic, you know, and they're starting to release music. Clint Riedel's releasing music. Jesse Wilson's releasing music. Look at all my friends that are just kicking ass right now in the music scene. Jordan Beam, Cody Hicks, incredible.
It's wild. I can't believe there's this much going on here and it's all this positively received in like other areas, like the scenes aren't as positive. It just weirds me out that it's not that way.
I don't understand it.
I know, and I'm not trying to point fingers. I know it's happened in Cedar Rapids before. There's been pockets of times where people are not happy with one another and it kind of causes like a little bit of a rift in the scene for whatever reason. I don't know. I'm not involved enough in some of the scenes to know exactly what's going on. I can just kind of watch and just make an assumption.
Right, sure.
You know, but that's nothing more than an assumption.
But if you're saying it, somebody else is saying it. I mean, you know what I mean?
That's the other perspective I think that I have is like I had made the comment like how music scenes are perceived within is sometimes, you know, like from the outside, like cross-state scenes, like they notice this stuff, you know, and it's unfortunate.
And I guess if you're one of those musicians, man, get with 2024 here, dude. Be friendly with each other.
Dude,
I mean,
you had mentioned like talent level being like a thing, and that's sometimes an issue where people are like, I'm more talented than you. And I'm going to say it right here. Like, this is the statement of the episode right here is talent is subjective. Yes, you might be able to play more notes. Yes, you might know more jazzy junk. You might know more whatever. I get it. People are like crazy good at doing all this stuff, but like talent is subjective because like is talent actually how well you know music theory, etc., or how good of a craftsman you are on a musical instrument of some sort, or is it knowing how to play to the crowd?
Yeah, both.
You know, playing something somebody will enjoy, like. Anyone could have done that. Well, guess what? You didn't. You know, like, you know, and that's where I think like a lot of people get so mad in the music scene, where it's like people like these guys more than me, and I should be liked more because they blah blah blah.
And I said it at the Midwest CMO meeting. We were having a meeting, like, you know, the future, what happens in the next year, and I was like, stop getting butthurt over things.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's like, you know, people are going to say stuff. Sometimes it's hurtful. Sometimes they say it and they don't mean to be hurtful. Lord knows I've done that before in the past.
Oh, man. You know, you say something even if you're trying to just get a point across or be positive or just be like, hey, you're doing this.
Right. Ooh. Especially with a song, you know, like, hey, man, if there's something in my song that you're hearing that I'm not, you know, if I play you a brand new song or whatever and say, hey, check it out. Tell me. It's okay. I can take constructive criticism. I'm not going to get mad at you. And I think that's the way more people need to be.
That's true.
You know,
well, again, that comes down to talent being subjective again. So, like, some people are just like, they can play this way, they can't play that way. Like, you can play the guitar in a way that I can't play the guitar.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and you can do things that I can't do. So, like you said, if somebody's criticizing, it's sometimes they're not actually criticizing. They're just saying, like, do a little of this instead, or try it this way. Or, you know, like, you know, it doesn't hurt to ask for the criticism, you know, either, you know,
Truth.
or to take it positively. But, like, again, it's
just be nice. You know, you just gotta be nice.
And you know, like, so okay, when Jesse and I would go down to Nashville, you know, we met up with Chili Dog and a couple of those, and Luke and a couple of those guys down there that are Broadway musicians, you know, and do this for a complete living, just every day from 11 to 3:30 in the morning, you know, and I don't know how they do it, but but they were humble. Like, Chili Dog's one of the most humble guys. Hey, why don't you guys come with us? We're going to go down here and have a couple drinks. We'll talk some music. And then the next day, you know, he calls us up and says, hey, you want to play 10 Riff with me? Like, yeah, of course we do. Yeah. Let's go. You know, and that's just, so I guess I've always been perceived, and maybe it's just the way people talk to each other sometimes. That makes them, oh, that guy was kind of douchey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, we're not meaning to be. I mean, if I've acted that way or talked that way, boy, I sure the heck don't mean to be.
Yeah, I'm definitely guilty of that, because when I'm not in a good mood, it kind of just takes over. And it's unfortunate because, like, you can see it on my face, you can see it in how I'm interacting with people, but I'm also the same way, like, when I'm tired.
Right.
I'm also the same way when I'm, like, mentally tired.
Right,
you know, if I'm, like, because, again, all I'm doing all day long is, like, recording, editing, video, just listening to stuff and posting and blah, blah. It just gets to be a lot sometimes. And I go out into public and it's just like, all right, I haven't had any time to myself other than driving my car, you know?
Well, hey, so I guess in last note on that question is that I don't believe that it's that way here.
Yeah.
I think we're all a pretty tight-knit community.
Oh, for sure.
I'm sure we all have our differences sometimes.
Well,
but we know how to look past those differences and continue to be close friends, you know?
Yeah, there's like nobody here that actively dislikes anyone.
No.
Like, not even in any capacity.
No.
You know, and if there's people that aren't best friends with somebody, like, nobody cares.
Right.
Like, oh, right. You know, it's like, I'm going about my life.
And I respect the hell out of the other ones that I don't get to talk to every day. Their music is phenomenal for those that I don't get to talk to every day. I do listen. I'm one of those guys who love music, and I listen to the music, the new music that goes out, the new music that people are putting out. I do listen. Every Friday it comes out, it seems like.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, okay, I'm going to listen to this. You know, Jerry Benson just came out with a new one, you know, and I'm listening to all these people's different music that they came out. Cool. Man, my friends are making music and releasing music in the Fort Dodge area, and how cool is that to be part of that?
Yeah, it's pretty wild, honestly. Like, I
mean, that's bigger than us, dude.
Yeah, I can't take for granted the fact, and I get it, like, not everyone that listens to this is going to be, like, into this kind of music, but I've like opened up for a lot of famous people, like, over time, and, like, recently, like, with Jesse, like, last year we opened up for Josh Turner, Downtown Country Jam. You know, it's like, it's wild to sit and think about, like, there's a picture, I mean, it's on my Facebook, but, like, there's a picture of us with, like, the crowd behind us, and it's just, like, at that time, it's like 2,000, 3,000 people are there. Like, you know, okay.
That's happening, right?
Yeah, I played in front of that many people. Like, went to Captain's over the weekend. It was wall to wall packed. Like, okay. Like,
and then we did a full moon party at Barefoot Bar.
Yeah.
You know, dude, I was like, Jesse, you want to come along? He's like, yeah, man, that'd be great. And so we had fun.
But it just blows me away that, like, I don't know. Again, I never would have seen myself playing this much music in my life, but I'm still playing like anywhere between 60 to 80 shows a year.
Well, hey, I started as a drummer, as you know.
Yep.
And I went to college and I played drums. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden one day I decided I didn't want to do this anymore, and I quit.
Yeah.
And then
sounds familiar.
7 years or 6 or 5 years later, 9/11 happened.
Okay.
And you know, and you start thinking stuff about in your life, and you're like, you know, I've always wanted to learn how to play guitar. Maybe I should learn how to play guitar. Mm-hmm. So I taught myself how to play guitar. And if I could go back at that point in time, sitting in my old porch in the back end, trying to learn how to play the G chord and the C chord and the D chord, and if I would have known that I'd be a full-time musician and doing this for a living, I would have told you were crazy. But you know what? Music found me again, just like it found you again, man. And we're back at this podcast again.
Man. Oh, gosh. Well, it does feel nice to have a voice. I mean, like, again, I feel like this was a beacon of positivity.
Completely.
And I left everything on here. I only rarely ever edited things out, but I wanted people to have, like, a place where they could say what they want. But, like, I just wanted the core of this just to be like, we're trying to do good thing here. You can't just come out
Yeah.
crap on somebody, but like say whatever you want, you know, like no filter. There's no editing. Like I'm not going to sit there and say you can't swear, but everyone was going to listen to this. So if you want to, go for it. You know, but like,
well, I mean, it's a podcast. It's not on radio, right?
Yeah, it's not.
You interview Clint Riedel, you're going to get somebody to swear.
Yeah, but yeah. So like, I don't know. I tried to give this thing out there basically as like a thing to be like positive, and there was a time where I was just like, all right, it's time for somebody else to take the ball and run with it. You know, there's plenty of open space. And nobody did. Nobody did.
No.
You know,
I did think about it there for a couple of times, but I'm like, no, man, you can't. You would have to completely start over with something brand new and a new concept, because Audible Farm is what Audible Farm is.
Exactly.
And it will always be what it is. And that was the best part about Audible Farm, right?
For better or worse, yes. You know, and again, like I just wanted to be something positive out there, you know, and that was
you were and are.
I had noticed there was like a hole that needed to be filled in that capacity, where it's like we need to have a place where everyone can talk about things and how good they're doing, and everyone can listen to it or watch it or whatever, you know. And nobody really. I mean, there's some people that still do stuff. Like Mason's still interviewing people. Mason on air, you know, over here in Fort Dodge in the radio station.
He does a lot.
You know, he interviews a lot of people
every Friday.
Yep, they do a lot of that stuff. And even I've been on there recently, and he pestered me about hashtag Bring Back Audible Farm.
Yeah, see.
Like,
Everybody's doing it.
You get on the radio.
It did really trend pretty well, didn't it?
Like, and the crazy thing about that is, like, I'm like legitimately like the thing that's killing off his industry, and he's like, you need to bring your podcast back. It's like, all right, like,
well, but
sounds good.
You know what? As a music lover, and I know Mason well, he listened to it religiously.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you want to listen to your friends? You know, and that's the thing is like,
I did. Every time I was in a FedEx truck, really, every single week I listened to the new one.
Yeah, I mean. Even when, I don't know, I listened back to a few of them, and it's like even the people that's like the only time I ever talked to this person really was on the podcast. Maybe a little bit before, maybe a little bit after, but that's about it. You know, there's a handful of those, like maybe several dozen of those that I was just like, these are people I never really met. Well, I interacted with like maybe at a show and then talked to them on the podcast, and then maybe I see them at a show twice a year, maybe, you know.
Well, but you know what? He remembered you. You know, you from doing that podcast, though.
I'm sure, yeah. But I like, you know, you go back and listen to them. It's like, these are actually kind of fun to sit back and like re-listen to. You know, the people that I don't actually know.
Right.
It's like, because this is like freshly having this conversation and meeting this person again.
I got a whole roster of those people that would love to be on Audible Farm podcast, because when I did start trending it, everybody's like, what was this podcast about? I'm like, you didn't know? You don't know about it? Listen.
Well, that's the other thing is like, I don't know how hard it was. Like, I worked pretty hard for a long time to get what I have for like, you know, views and listens and subscribers and blah, 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 blah. But it just seems like it's like, man, there's not more people that are like willing to jump onto this. Like I tried to field like advertisers like naturally instead of going the route of just getting the ones like, you know, these are the ones that are everyone at MeUndies.com or whatever.
But I think of the growth of the podcast is also not just Audible Farm, but every podcast. People, there's more and more people listening to podcasts today than there was 3 years ago or a year and a half ago or 2 years ago even.
Yeah, I don't know. Like that's another thing that's like super ironic. All I used to do is listen to podcasts and play music. I played so much music that I never listened to it. Ever.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah.
I honestly, unless someone's like, learn this song, maybe I'd listen to it. You know?
I understand.
I'm not even joking. I have a Spotify account. There was like, oh, this is your most listened to song. You played it 12 times. And it's like, oh.
You were learning the song.
I'm not, that's it. That's like, otherwise I just didn't listen to anything, you know? So I don't know. I don't listen to a whole lot of music. But now like when I quit doing the podcast, now I listen to music like all the time when I'm just goofing around.
Yeah.
And it's just like, why not? You know, let's listen to a System of a Down album that I haven't heard for 8 years. And then you're like, well, holy cow, I can't believe I used to listen to this like religiously on full blast.
Speaking of System of a Down, this is way off kilter. Have you seen the yacht guy on TikTok that he puts like heavy metal music, puts it into yacht rock?
Yes, I have.
They did
the Metallica ones.
They did a System of a Down one too, and it was incredible. And I was like,
it's so good.
It's so good.
It's so dumb but so good. And I will have to say, like, Yacht Rock is so good. Like, I don't know. There's like so much music that I've been playing. It's just like I've started to like really enjoy a lot of stuff that would normally just be like a guilty pleasure.
Yep.
Completely. As opposed to,
Sorry, I had to say that because that was just like, man, I remembered. I just watched it today, I think.
Yeah, that's some good stuff.
There's a lot. Think about it. How much stuff has changed in the last 2 years.
Dude,
I mean,
AI came out and it's making music better than your band. No, I'm not just kidding.
Randy Travis has a voice again because of AI.
Okay.
He's releasing an album.
All right.
A country album after, 13, 14, 15 years of having a stroke and not being able to use his voice. And because of AI.
That's crazy.
He released a new single for the first time in like so many years. That's insane.
Makes me wonder what, like, I don't know. The concept's really fun. It's a concept. So, like, that's the thing is, like, again.
Stop.
Everything's subjective. You could just be like, I shouldn't make an AI album. They should do it this way because blah, 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 blah. But again, like, I don't want to crap on the AI, like, music quite yet. I feel like there's a lot of positivity that can come out of it, but at the same time, it is a cheat code. You could essentially be like, and I don't want to give out any codes, but you can just tell AI anything you want to do. Make this for me, and it'll poop something out that's really close. And if you don't like something, you can say, I like this, change these parts, and it does it.
Yep.
It gets weird. I'm telling you, it gets real weird. But it's also pretty fun because I know people that have taken advantage of it to like write music, and they're just like, let's see what happens when I tell it to do this, and it gives them something, and they're like, I don't know, it made a song. I play it like this, and it's stupid, but here you go. Like, but.
Yep, I've never done that yet. I have not done that yet.
But, that's also just like a goof. That'd be like yelling at an artist. Like, you got to yell at, Leonardo da Vinci because he didn't paint the Mona Lisa every time or something.
Right.
He painted the Mona Lisa, right? Yeah. So, like, geez, I can't believe I said that. So, like, if he doodles on a napkin, you're gonna be like, get pissed at him and be like, you're wasting your talent. There
should have been a canvas, man.
There's that Picasso Saturday Night Live skit. If anybody hasn't seen it, look it up. Picasso Saturday Night Live. It's John Lovitz, and he's eating somewhere, and he doesn't have any money because he's like old and broke, and they're just like, he's like trying to like sign the napkin to like give it to him. He's like, what? I'm Picasso, and he's like doodling on it and stuff, trying to get money.
The old Beavis and Butthead skit was the one that cracked me up when they did that on Saturday Night Live.
Oh yeah,
that was so funny.
That was fairly recently one.
Yeah, and there's like hilarious. And that guy is like, no, you can't laugh anymore and stuff like that. And these guys just couldn't help it.
Sit him over there with that guy. They just put him down and pan over. It's like, what is going on?
This is what happens when we start talking, right?
Oh
just
my gosh.
ramble on about Saturday Night Live
But that's the podcast.
That's what I love about it.
That's any podcast. Yes. I mean, we are talking music,
We are,
and we're starting out in areas and kind of just rambling off.
AI, jeez.
Yeah, we went from music scenes possibly not being positive to like AI to Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, speaking of, I've never had an issue with music scene being positive in the country world.
Yeah,
or not being positive in the country world.
Yeah, I mean everyone's always really nice, and again, like if there's people that don't have the best relation, like, if they don't know if they like somebody, like that's the end of it. They don't talk to them. They don't talk bad about them. They don't avoid them. They don't
just get a partnership going on with some other.
Everyone's cordial. It doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Like I've never heard anything in that scene, but I've heard a lot of other scenes where people are pretty negative, and it's unfortunate.
That's too bad.
Yeah, it's just the way it is. I think. Again, I don't know if there's. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to think about it, but that's what it is. But one of the things you do very positively, and we'll kind of wrap the podcast around on this and kind of end it on this, because this is one of the things that I want to talk to you about, was like your event that you have coming up for Broken Strings.
Yeah, September 28th.
September 28th. Let's see here. We're recording on this day.
You know what that means? I put a date on it. You're going to have to come out before next Saturday, right? Wah, wah, wah.
Man, I don't know. I actually had planned on to have this released the Tuesday after that show. So we'll see. Yeah. But that's a bummer. But that's a thing to like wrap this back around on anyways. So the event, as we're recording this, has not happened.
Not yet.
But like, what is the whole basis of the event? You're gonna bring in writers and play at Brick and Ivy.
I'm bringing in just some of my buddies to play some music, and we're giving guitars away that night.
Oh, you're also doing a guitar giveaway.
Oh yeah, we're giving 10 guitars away, and one night we're giving it away to all the Des Moines area, and we're kind of scooping up in that whole centralized location. We're going to get them all in one area.
Nice.
We've had some changes go on between Broken Strings, and I mean within the board has gotten bigger,
which is not always a bad thing.
No,
a lot of times,
right? And some very big go-getters, and Jason Hacker's president of the board of directors. He's from Carroll, close friend of mine, has been for a long time. Loves music, and he volunteered his time after I got in my accident, and I'm so happy for him to be taking charge of all that stuff, And he's a go-getter, and he's a pusher, and he's pushing everything to move forward, because man, and it's hard. Like people don't. It's crazy. We have money, but we're trying to find kids, and not getting emails back from schools and band directors sometimes are very frustrating at times.
I understand. You talked about it on the previous podcast. I get it. You're giving away a guitar. People see it. They might think it's a scam. They don't look. They don't even look twice. They're just throw it away, which I get. But like, it's so weird that it's like we've raised money to give away guitars to kids, and it's like it's not like you have enough money. You still need more money.
Oh, yeah, of course. We always need more money.
But you have money. It's like, well, we've got money, which means now we have guitars, and now we just need to find kids to give them to. Yep. It's like you can't find enough kids to give them to. Well, it's like kind of wild.
And then during the summertime, and the stuff you think about when you have this idea in your head, you don't think about the stuff, right? And then you realize, like, okay, summertime, nobody's around.
True. Oh yeah.
So it's like, oh man, trying to give a guitar, it's got to be a special event if we're going to give a guitar away during that time. But there's no time limit on that one. We have to do it. I mean, we're getting it done. It's slow. But it takes a lot to.
Oh yeah,
find somebody and
coordinate everything,
and we're gonna get better on doing events and stuff like that. And we are, and like I said, Jason's a go-getter, and Wade Wilkie from the Carroll area is also on the board of directors, and those guys are good people. You know what I mean? Like they love to see these younger kids starting to learn. How to play an instrument and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
They like, they either have grandkids and stuff like that they kind of want to watch us.
Well, you even just recently were like thinking like, oh, I wish, hearkening back to the days of yore when you were learning your first G chord, like you were just doing that,
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want to perpetuate that onto somebody else?
Right. And that's what, so that's what we're doing. But yeah, so this is a pretty big event for us. We're going to give away quite a few guitars. Mike Moody helped us see. And then now I'm getting other musicians, friends of mine that are coming, along, like from Des Moines area, Jordan and Mike Moody and Cody Hicks and those guys. And then Lee Klett from down in Sirgany, Iowa, it's like, hey, man, you give me guitars down here, I'll start divvying up some guitars down here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's what I'm looking for, right? We need that kind of cooperation.
Well, to get this done in that capacity, yes. Like it's going to take, it's literally going to take you're going to have to find the positive people in the scenes to do the things, and that's.
And they're happy to do it. And that's awesome.
Again, positivity.
Thank you.
Like positivity reigns supreme almost every single time.
It's fun. And it's ignited the fun back into it again.
Good. Yeah. I mean, I could imagine, and I'm not trying to say like it would be a drag, but to do all this work, it's like, well, we raised money, we have a nonprofit, we've got a board, we've got guitars, we've given away all the ones for all the people we can find, and I can't find anyone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
How frustrating would that be?
It is. You can't get emails me back. You can't. I try calling some school districts, and then they're trying. Oh yeah, we'll leave a message to the band director. Never heard anything back again.
That'd be rough. But it's then like, then what do you do? I gotta email the superintendent or just email every single. Like I would just.
It's aggravating and it's defeating.
I would mail somebody and carbon copy like literally everyone else I could find on the school website. Like I would just go through like, give me the directory of emails.
I need to find somebody to give a guitar away.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or just email the band director and then everyone above them just be like, all right, you're on the school board, you're on the this, you're on the that. Just tag them in the email.
And then time too, you know. I mean, that's takes up a lot of time during the day, and drive and money and gas and all that stuff to go head out that way. And
drive all the way there just to deliver one guitar, or do the work to set up an event to give away multiple ones. It's still one way or the other. It's a lot of work.
I got 4 kids that are not going to even be there now. So I've been on Hello Iowa. I did an interview with them on WHO TV. Mm-hmm. The radio group and Des Moines radio group interviewed me, which was pretty cool. That's like a 9 different channel. Event, you know, get some reach down there for the event as well. But so yeah, it's starting to pick up more and more steam, and I'm like, yes, this feels good again, right?
Yeah.
And so it's and like I said, Mike Moody's got a whole list of kids that are coming to Brick and Ivy and going to get guitars. Yeah,
that's super cool.
Yeah,
man, it feels good. I mean, like. That's another. I don't want to just like gloss over it, but like you had said earlier, like you got into an accident. You got a car accident bazillion years ago, but you know, now it was in between when I quit doing the podcast and now. So like that was something that like is also another thing that's like a big deal that's happened. You know, like I remember when you got in an accident, it was a rough deal. It was weird to see like, oh man, we're one musician down. You know, like
made me rethink my life a little bit. You know, and makes you maybe I feel a little more blessed for being here and. And you know, just I'm here. I'm blessed to be able to continue to play music and continue to give guitars away.
Yeah. Well, damn it, man. We're happy to have you here. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Again, one of the most positive people easily in the music scene. I didn't mean to say that away from the mic, but yeah, one of the most positive people in the music scene for sure.
I appreciate that. That's
always out there, always rooting for everybody, you know, and that's what this, you know, music scenes need more of. That's what the state needs more of. That's what the world needs more of in any capacity. It needs less competition because, you know, it rarely does much good unless it's in like some sort of a grandiose economical numbers and bar charts and graphs type deal.
If you could do a good competition and make fun with it, you know,
that's what it is.
Like 2 best friends, and then that's cool. You know, like and I do that a lot with my buddy Jesse. You know what I mean? Like I razz him and he razzes me, and it's just kind of what we do.
Yeah. I mean that's everybody needs that. You know. They need the positivity, they need the interaction, and that's honestly like all this is about. That's all this podcast was ever about, was just creating some interaction and some positivity, and just wanted people to talk to one another about this thing, you know, and give people something good to listen to instead of going online and finding all the negativity and just people.
Well, it was a positive impact in my life and in the music scene, and listen to it every week, and man, I'm so glad it's back, dude.
Yeah, it's here for sure. So let's see what we got going on. I'll try my best. Maybe we can get this out on Tuesday. I'm not sure, but because I'm pretty sure that's when all the episodes used to release, and that's how long this has been. I don't even remember most of it.
Was it Tuesday night?
I think it was Tuesday mornings. They came out on Tuesday.
Was it Tuesday? Yeah, I don't remember even.
Yeah, I used to release it like Tuesday at 7, and people are like, I want to listen on my way to work, and I drive to work at 5, and it's like, okay, fine.
I can't wait to, you know what, I can't wait.
What?
I can't wait to hear the opening music.
Bow, bow.
Like, yeah.
Oh, love it. Yeah. That's another thing. It's like, I don't know how much I might change the formatting on this. I might do nothing to it. I don't know. I have no clue. I'm still...
Well, that's the best part about it is you can do whatever you want to with it, right?
Maybe I'll change it every week and I'll just do something different. But it was fun to go back and listen to some episodes and just be like, hey, everybody, you know, every single episode started the same, hey, you know.
I wanted to say that before this one. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Audible Farm Podcast.
I wanted to go through and like pull like a reel of like all of me, just be like, hey, like so dumb. This would be so funny.
It's the greatest ever, man. I swear. I thoroughly enjoyed every single part of the Audible Farm Podcast. And if this is Audible Farm 2.0, then awesome.
Yeah.
And let's see what we can do with it. Let's make it even bigger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I got to make it easier.
We'll help you. It's time. I'll help you.
I got to make it easier. That's all I know.
Yeah, I know. I get it.
But yeah. So, all right. We'll figure this out. It'll work one way or the other. It's all going to work itself out. So, yeah, man, thanks for sitting down, making this easy. Cause like, again, I didn't know how all this was going to work. You've been like the test subject for a lot of different things on this podcast.
I'll be a test dummy for you any day, Pete.
But you're, again, it's just because you're such a good guy. You're always positive. You help me figure this stuff out when I need to, and I don't know. Again, you're just a beacon of light in otherwise sometimes dark tunnel that is out there in the world. I appreciate you very much, man. I always have, and I've always looked up to you, and I always will.
Ditto, dude. Ditto.
Awesome. So that's it. Thanks, guys.
You bet.
Okay, there you go. That's another one in the bank. No, there's a podcast. It is done. Love it. Scott's the man. The fun thing about that was the first episode we ever recorded with the podcast being back. And since then, I've done like other stuff. But yeah, I recorded that one first, even before the solo episode that came out saying the podcast was coming back. So this is technically the first real one, because I don't know. The solo ones really count. I don't know. Whatever. So yeah, Scott's such a great guy. Make sure you get on below, check out the links, check out his website, check out all of his socials. He's fun, tons of fun on social media. Check out the Broken Strings down below. There's also links for that as well. And let's talk about some Fort Dodge Fine Arts stuff. So FD Fine Arts has a podcast coming out, or a show, or a thing. I don't know what you want to call it, but the fun thing is we're going to host the podcast portion of it over here. They wanted to do a podcast and a show, but they also didn't really know exactly how they wanted to get it all done. So I was like, I'll just host the podcast on here. So there's going to be some extra content coming out if you're listening on a podcast streaming service. If you're watching on YouTube, however, it's going to come out on their YouTube channel. So check out their YouTube channel. Make sure you hit subscribe and check out that show, because it's going to be tons of fun. I'm just going to kind of help them out with doing it all. So I'll be there. I'll be there every show. I'm going to be joined by the absolutely lovely, the tons of fun, Shelly Bodorf. She's a blast. I'm glad she's there because she's the conduit between me and all the people I'm interviewing there. And I'm not really doing the interviewing. It's kind of like me and her kind of just talking with the people, which is kind of what this podcast is, which is kind of why it's enjoyable and kind of why I think it'd be an okay fit for coming on over. So if you listen on your phone, anywhere you stream podcasts, you're going to get a free show. Check it out. It might be really cool. You might really enjoy it, especially if you're in the Fort Dodge area. It's going to be tons of fun. If you watch on YouTube, go over to Fort Dodge Fine Arts YouTube and check it out. It's going to be tons of cool. Just check out their link down below. It's going to have a lot of stuff down there. So yeah, it's going to be called FDT. We're going to be interviewing some fun people. Well, like I said, we're just going to be sitting down talking with them. It's fun. All these people have all these fun stories. They never come out. Shelly was like, we need to find a way to get these stories out. And she was like, let's talk to people. I don't know how to do any of this stuff. Help me. And I was like, all right, let's do this. And so we're going to team up. We're going to do this. It's going to be tons of fun. And the podcast, once again, it's going to come out over here. The video version will be over on their YouTube channel. So check that out. Yeah, I got to say thanks once again to FD Fine Arts Association for bringing you this episode as well. So all the more reasons to go down and check out the links. That's what this podcast honestly is all about. It's going down and checking out the links of the people that are here. Go see what they're all about. Go check them out. Speaking of people that were here, I need to bring Shelly on the podcast. I didn't even have her on the whole 200 episodes that I was doing it before. Yeah, there's a few people I still need to come back to. So the podcast, I got a lot of work to do. Holy moly, I got a lot of work to do. I got a couple simple plans. We're going to make this as easy as possible. Hopefully it all works out really, really well for everybody involved. And yeah, audiblefarm.com. Peace.